Guys, welcome to this week's episode of Unleash Your Inner Greatness. And my guest today is Elena Cardone, the actress, entrepreneur, author, personal development coach, and global speaker. Elena is the inspirational wife of Grant Cardone, the world's #1 sales trainer. And together as a couple, they currently co-host the G&E show and have jointly grown a real estate empire over $1 billion through Cardone Capital. Elena recently authored an amazing book called Build an Empire, which authentically explains how to build, sustain, and protect an empire. And it's without doubt one of the most thought-provoking books that I've read. I'm incredibly excited to welcome you on the show. Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Greatness, Elena.
Thank you.
I'm really honored to have you on. And I think I just wanted to firstly acknowledge and thank you for something. We met in London last year when you were on the 10X Growth tour, the 10X UK tour. And I remember I had an opportunity to interview Grant only for 15 minutes. And it was a real life-changing experience for me. After the interview, I got to speak with you, and I rarely meet people who are very present and real authentic. And that's the one thing that you stuck out with you straight away. Like, it blew me away. So I just wanted to compliment you on that quality. It was really inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember that. It was cool. I really appreciated meeting you as well. So good. The feelings are mutual.
It's not often you connect pretty quick with someone. I wanted to just start off and ground you in a good place. And I really just wanted to know what you're most grateful for in your life right now.
Well, the thing, of course, that comes to mind, which is on the top of everyone's mind, is your health. That's something that money can't buy. I mean, it can buy the the preservation of health, I suppose, and you can afford to buy vitamins or have good treatment or whatever. But it really goes to show that if you have some sort of illness where no amount of money can save you from it, it really is. It comes down to your health. I mean, I'm really happy that we're all healthy and happy, and this moment in time has been an opportunity for us to all kind of introspect and really put priorities into place and look at what we took for granted before and what we won't or we can appreciate even more coming out of this. So the same thing is happening to me as it probably is to you, which is that appreciation for the things that we had before this lockdown occurred.
It's crazy. I think back in 2008, I was stockbroking here in London. And for some reason, I agree with you. Firstly, I think health's so important. And I think I tune into your Instagram and you're always like boxing with, with someone or doing workouts or, staying hydrated with Bobby. So you inspire me to be more healthy every day. But yeah, there it is. But when this all hit, funny enough, because we train on Cardone University at work, and I now work with Mark Wright, who obviously knows Grant. But you guys popped into mind as soon as this happened. So I was just, I'm just really proud how you guys are showing up through this, because I know I've seen a lot of people maybe go on the attack and criticize Grant and what you guys have done. But from my perspective, I just think it's amazing how, you're handling it. So it's really honorable, because it's easy to, cut someone down in the hard times, but it's really inspiring to see you guys lead right now.
Thank you. And it's been interesting too to see who your true friends are. The definition of a true friend is they'll be your friend when it's convenient and when it's not, and they won't hear ill will of you when you're present or when you're not. And that whole experience just goes to show me like how much fear is out there and how much people are afraid and scared and bored. And when people get bored and they don't have enough production of their own or products of their own, the game then becomes to attack somebody or to blame somebody for your condition or use them as an excuse as to why your life is bad or whatnot. So it just made me understand. I mean, I have more understanding for people. It also made me realize, like, wow, okay, all those people that I thought were appreciative or liked our message or what we represent, that turned out not to be like that. It's like, oh, good, you just kind of exposed yourself. I was blinded to that, and now I see it. And now that it's over there, now that the hungry dogs went to chase the bone, and I can see them all, that's where they're going to stay. And I feel like my kind of load has been lightened, and the people that were going to get us are always going to get us, and they're not just convenient, phony friends, but they're a real 10x group, and that's who I want to surround myself with. And unfortunately, this situation is only going to make us greater in the long run. So all of those haters are going to be extremely disappointed when we flourish and prosper and have a lot of success with a lot of people. It's going to drive them stark raving mad, and I'll enjoy that, actually.
That's a good thing to aim towards. Your as I mentioned, like when we started the interview, your book. So I obviously gained an appreciation of your material and Grant's material after we met, and I love the 10x philosophy. It's amazing. But your build an empire philosophy, haven't dug into it. I think it's really important to overall sustainability in growing and developing as a person. In your book, there's heaps of different facets of your journey of success. You talk about finding your purpose, building a list of credible values that you attribute to someone that you want to be with, etc. There was one story though that, to be honest, shocked me a little bit, and it was the difficult experience when you were younger in life and you witnessed one of your best friends, you witnessed her life be taken away from you in that moment. Without going into the experience too much, I just wanted to ask, because between the ages of 18 and 21, I also witnessed 3 of my family members take their last breath. So I was just wondering, when you think about Goldie and you go back to the experience of envisioning her take her life being taken away, I was just wondering what perspective you've gained from that experience and how that has made you who you are today.
Well, that experience, it made me realize that using my best friend, at that time, Goldie, using her death as an excuse to destroy my life was actually dishonoring her name and who she was in her life. Because I finally had the realization one day that, if she were living, she would want me to be happy. And, if she was looking at my life from above or wherever, that she would be pretty disappointed with me that, she was the reason that I got to go be miserable and go down toward a path of destruction with self-medicating and whatnot. And then, so I realized that from that moment forward, no matter what happened to me, I wasn't going to use that as the excuse to cause destruction to my own life. And that if I really wanted to honor her name, then I would go and try to be something of myself and try to become and find happiness within my own self. And that would be the best way I could, show homage to her. It isn't making my life a complete wreck and then honoring her, so that was the biggest sort of cognition that I got out of that was, no, I did live, so I have the opportunity to make something of my life, and it inspired me to do so. I realized that life can go in a moment, and I have a choice, I can either succumb or survive. And what am I going to do? And what am I going to do with it in between?
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like life-defining moments like that, like you said, it makes you realize just how precious life is, but sometimes it enables you to step into your purpose as well. And I know that one of your chapters is life purpose. and it's been a bit of a bedrock for you in building your empire. And you and Grant want to be synonymous with knowing, I think it's 7 billion people on Earth. Like, you've got a really big goal,
Yeah.
which is massive, and it's amazing because already I'm shifting my mindset. I haven't been thinking that big, but today I wrote down something in the billions, and straight away I'm thinking different. So, it's interesting. There was an interesting takeaway from the book. I was just going to say, one of the biggest challenges that my audience faces is sometimes they have this inner calling, like this voice, that they know that they're destined, they're born for something great, that they're destined for greatness. And it's this voice that never goes away. I was just wondering if someone has that voice and they know they're destined for something bigger, but they don't know what their purpose is, what would you recommend they do to get clarity on that? Is there any strategies or anything that they could do that you think could enable someone to step into their purpose or find it?
Well, I use a vision. So, a vision doesn't just happen to you. It's something that you create. A vision is a plan for the future with wisdom and imagination. So what I do is I look into the future and I look at what is it that I want to be able to say about myself? What is the level of sphere of influence that I want to have? What is the difference that I want to make? If I could change anything, what could I change? What would I do? If I had the blessing almighty and I could do anything and or be like a god or whatever, just put the hat on for a moment and go into the future and see, like, if you could be that person, what it is that you would do and what would you do? And then I come back into present time and I go, what are the actions that I have to take? And I literally write a list. What are the actions I have to do to get me from where I am now to the person that I want to be? How do I become that courageous? How do I become a leader? How do I become disciplined? How do I become healthy, fit? How do I have more competency? How do I have more confidence? How do I do that? And then I write my plan. Well, I'd have to be educated. If money was in my future, I'd have to be educated about money. If I wanted confidence, okay, now I have to start doing what I say, because that's what builds confidence, is when you can believe and count and trust on yourself. So what do I have to do on a daily basis to prove that I can be consistent with something and do it over a long enough time to where I understand, and then the universe understands, when I say I'm going to do something, it happens, because that's what I make happen. So that's what I would say. I would say, go into the future, write who you are on an ideal. If you could have anything you wanted, if you were the master of destiny, and then come back and figure out your plan of what your plan of action is to how to be that person. And I think that you'll surprise yourself in no time with how much you actually gain and how far you actually go by doing that. It doesn't just happen. It's never going to happen. It's not going to fall in your lap and no one's just going to bless you and all of a sudden you have all these abilities and clarity. No, you have to make it happen. You have to take the actions.
When I was watching your interview with Brian Rose, I was almost jumping out of my chair because I love the flamboyancy and the excitement in your voice. Like, it's so addictive. So, like, just to repeat, so start with the vision, start with the big vision. Think about, if you didn't have any limitations, who that person would want to be, and then bring it back to where you are, and then write a list of, the things, the steps that you have to take, or the people that you have to be around to become that person.
You have to avoid, what sacrifices you'd have to make, what self-enhancement you'd have to do. And I mean, after you do something like that, you should be so busy in life of loaf time. You don't get the luxury of hanging out with deadbeats anymore. Like, things are going to start to change your life. The more that you do this on that path, more wisdom, the more imagination, and eventually you'll be so crystal clear on who you are, what your mission is, that you're not fumbling anymore or trying to figure it out. Like, you will be clear on what it is.
And it flows into my next point. I wrote down next, like, I think one thing that I've taken away from you is the fact that you're a visionary, you're a big thinker. You say that Grant's the beast, but you're the visionary. So I wrote down here that, you know, you were visionary in the sense of taking Cardone Capital global, the global licensee program, challenging Grant to become a billionaire, you know, all these big audacious things as a visionary. But I wrote down, what's one of the biggest challenges that Grant has personally asked you to work on? And how did you overcome the hurdles with that challenge, with the big audacious challenge that he has given you? What's the biggest one that he's given you to work on?
Well, I would say it was when I was writing this book, Build an Empire. It was taking me a really long time. I was using a lot of excuses. I don't like school. I don't like sitting still. I never really considered that that I have any sort of book smarts. So like I hated me to do this, et cetera. And then Grant called me hard, and I hated that and hated him at the time. But it really challenged me to confront all of the barriers that I was hitting and needed to confront, to prove to myself that I am an intelligent woman. I do have a voice. I do have knowledge to impart. People can be benefited from what I have to say. And it doesn't matter how I feel, whether I'm, you know, too hyper to sit and write. That shouldn't matter. If my end game is to help people and it can help people, why should I be so small-minded to care about my little feelings about how I don't like sitting still and writing? So that was like a really big challenge that I overcame. It was a huge success. The book, you know, not only for other people, but mostly for myself, that I have another sense of accomplishment, another sense of confidence, another sense of competency that I have given myself, that no economy, no virus, no hater can take away from me, ever. Those
That's
are gifts you give yourself that go with you. No one can take that away from you.
And now that you're on to the next book, which we'll talk about a little later on, are there any of those thoughts creeping up again, or like have they completely gone out the window because you tackled them on the first book?
No, they're still there. They're still there. Not as intensely, but I still have to use discipline to force myself to write every morning.
Yeah.
Every morning I force myself to have my feet hit the floor at 6 a.m., whether I want to or not. And for the next hour and a half, I sit in front of my computer and write. And, you know, I don't always like it. You know, because so I'm confronted with that. Like, I'd rather be doing something else. I'd rather be whatever. But I force myself to do that because I want to finish this book in time, because I really want to help the guys out there that I'm writing this book for.
How did you celebrate when you got the first copy in the mail? The first.
You know, that's a shame. You know, I'll be honest. We don't do a good enough job celebrating our wins. I think I try to do that with Grant too. Accomplish something, to celebrate the wins. It's very important to make firm the wins, but we oftentimes fail at it. And I think the reason why is because by the time like something like the book came out in a hard copy, and yes, I was very excited to see it, I'm not thinking about celebrating it, because now I've already gone on to the next thing. And that's a flunk on our fault, because it really was an incredible victory that I really should have made a monumental moment and celebrate. And I had the idea too. I was like, oh, I should do a book opening. I should do a party. I should do really something to just really solidify my moment here. But I just didn't do it.
If you can just hold up the book then to the audience, let's celebrate Elena virtually. There we go. It's beautiful. It's all, and it's amazing. So I'll link that in the show notes and make sure everyone gets it. You mentioned in previous podcasts that you've connected with many billionaires, or a few billionaires, and the comment was they let you down. You mentioned that then you changed your mindset from you wanted to make a commitment for you and Grant to position yourselves to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of the listeners had big dreams, yet were challenged with a scarcity mindset. For example, they weren't born into wealth. They were born into, just making ends meet. Money was always tight. What would your advice be for them to reprogram that part of their mindset, or what specific strategies do you feel could help someone develop more abundant in mindset?
There's a couple of things I'm going to tell you. The person that's just struggling and always struggles with money, there's a couple things going on. There's just very few things that you don't understand about money that you need to know. And again, I'm going to refer you to Grant's information, the Millionaire booklet. I could give it to you right now really quickly. The real only three things you need to know about money is you need to know how to earn it, you need to know how to store it, and then you need to know how to multiply it, meaning making the money work for you, whether you're there or not, by a cash flowing asset. That's all you need to know about money. So the people that are having trouble with money don't have real literacy about money, and you need to educate yourself about money from a resourceful person that has statistics in the area. And I wouldn't study millionaires, I would study corporations and people who really understand wealth. The next thing I would have that person do is write down all the considerations that you have about money, because those are the real reason that's stopping you from ever attaining money. If you have the stereotypical idea that money makes all people greedy or is the root of all evil, guess what? You're never going to have it, because you're a good person and you don't want to be evil and you don't want to be greedy. So you will only hit a certain point, and then life will happen and it reduces. And then if you build up, it reduces, because you can never, with that thinking, ever go above that, because you have programmed in your mind that you can never hit what you think is a successful, wealthy number, because you want to prevent, you're a good person, you want to prevent yourself from being greedy, or the money is the root of all evil. So once you have to write all that down, or all rich people suck, or whatever it is, you have to be honest in your thinking. But if all of a sudden you could write it all down and then be open to the idea that instead of money makes you rich, money to be able to take care of your family, your friends, your community, of the world, and just be open to different possibilities other than what was ingrained in you or what you adopted as your own on those major thoughts. So those, and that has to get reworked, period. And then the other thing that is like a practical, and again, I wrote it in this book, which I know you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it. The lotto game is a game that I used to play with Grant when we had the financial crisis. Thank you, Sabrina. Not yet. I'm in the middle of a podcast. But when our financial condition shrank and we were feeling worried and scared, and our net worth had reduced drastically, I played this game called the lotto game. What would you do with 200 million, yada, yada, yada. And then I increased it all the way to, well, if you were a billionaire, how would you spend it? Blah, 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 blah. And inevitably, every time we got to the billionaire, all of a sudden you felt like, well, if I was a billionaire, I could call this person, or I could reach out and I could try to make that sale, because it wouldn't matter if they did it or didn't. I'm a billionaire. I could call so-and-so because they would take my call because I'm a billionaire. I could do this without caring, and that. It just opened up all these possibilities of a bigger being that you would be if you had the freedom because you were a billionaire. And then I looked at that and I said, well, isn't that ironic? Isn't that weird? What in society, why do we need digits in a bank account of money we'll never see that much in our lifetime? Why do we let that determine who we're going to be? Why can't we just be that now, rather than a bank tell me I can be that way? And so that flipped our entire way of thinking from 2008 to, well, we all of a sudden had the mindset that we were billionaires. Now, it didn't mean we acted on it. We were in sacrifice phase. Our bank account said something else. We aren't buying Maseratis or Ferraris or whatever with money we didn't have because we thought we were billionaires. No, we just allowed ourselves to have the qualities of a billionaire. That means having the courage to make the sales calls, getting financially educated, being extroverted, finding ways to market ourselves and brand ourselves so we can get known in more places. Like we started acting and doing, having the courage to face obstacles, put ourselves at risk for the mission, like all this stuff and the qualities that a billionaire possesses. We started assuming the position of that. And then many years later, we're on that road.
It's incredible. Thank you so much. So, start with the knowledge of how to accumulate money, earn it, keep it, multiply it. Then you speak about, having accountability, having the knowledge to learn the skills about what money represents, and then actually stepping into it and visualizing yourself as having it. So it's unbelievably powerful. It's amazing how the mind works.
Totally. It starts to get you, thinking in bigger ways, and you just give yourself freedom by whatever thinking a billionaire does. No matter who you are, if you actually assume the role of a billionaire right now, you're going to think differently. You're going to think bigger. You're going to have more confidence and certainty. So be it. You don't need numbers and a bank account to be that.
I was going to say, like you said, study the corporations. I know you guys love Starbucks. Is that one corporation that you study closely, or like what corporation inspires you of the ones that you've studied?
The Blackstones, and I look at the multifamily, those kind of conglomerates and what they're doing, and Grant really does study them more and how they use debt, the Ramses and those kind of people that are all debt is bad debt. Those are millionaires telling you that the big companies and corporations, they borrow money and they use money for furthering the asset, but they're not afraid to, incur debt. So that's kind of what we model and have studied from corporations. But again, that area, sadly, but not sadly, is really Grant's domain, and he's really opened up my eyes to a lot of that and that thinking that I never would have seen before, having the opportunity to be around him as much as I am.
Elena, I was going to say, when we caught up in London, we spoke about like at that point where you transformed your own personal life, and you spoke about, your church and spirituality and how it was really profound for you. I personally feel that we are physical, we have a physical experience, but we are spiritual beings. And I was just wondering, like, what's the biggest lesson that your spiritual journey has taught you, and how do you apply it to your daily life?
I think the biggest thing that I've gotten spiritually is being able to differentiate between me as a spiritual being and me as this physical body. I know I'm not my body. I'm a spiritual being capable of a lot more than just what this physical body can do on this physical planet. So I know I have a mind, I have intelligence, I have vision, I have the ability to, create life. I have the ability to create energy. Like I can create energy. I don't need food to give my body energy. I need that too, of course, because I have to take care of this body. But me as a spiritual being, can create energy and life, and I can exchange that with other spiritual beings on the planet. And I believe I live further than just this body. So I'm planning for not just the future of this lifetime, but my future. And
Yep.
so decisions and actions and everything that I'm doing today, I am setting myself up not just for this lifetime, but for the future and where I want to go and continue on my journey as a spiritual being, evolved through time.
I noticed that just the way, and I've only met you and Grant briefly, like on occasions at seminars, etc. But you can just tell from a spiritual perspective, even just the way you your mannerisms towards people. Like just having good manners, for example, is a really good spiritual demeanor. You know, just the way that you greet someone, or that you give someone thanks, or, you know, wish them a good day. Like I'm learning a lot from yourself and Grant. Even just putting out that positive energy is it's a really beautiful thing to do for other people.
Thank you for acknowledging that and recognizing that.
Yeah, it's I mean, I know it's something small, but it does help. Now, on a bright note, you're writing a new book, which I'm putting in a pre-order. So if you want to send me the PayPal, send it to me after the chat. I'm in. I'm your first or 10,000th purchase, but I'm going to pre-order it. Can you tell us a bit about the new book and what it's about? What can people expect from it?
The book, you clicked out. You want to hear about the book? Is that what you asked?
The new one that you're writing, yeah.
Okay, so the new one that I'm writing is because I have so much respect for all the men of the world, the honorable men, the good men of the world that, you know, really love and respect women and children. I wrote this book for them because I want them to be able to find a partner, a woman, a 10X woman. I want them to know how to keep a 10X woman, and I want them to be on the same page with the goal of reaching heightened success as a couple together. So I don't feel like there's a whole lot of indoctrination on the subject out there. Maybe there is. Maybe there's tons of books about relationships and whatnot. Honestly, I haven't read them, so there could be. But I'm interested in the guy who's more like a 10X guy looking for a 10X relationship. These are not normal relationships. We're not going to go into all the feelings type stuff. Feelings are valuable, but it's about really figuring out how to operate as a team, no matter what, or how you're feeling, or whether you're mad at that person in that day or not, but how you get to the point where you have each other's back and you can be counted to deliver in your role as that couple member to achieve the heightened success, to make a difference for the better on this world. So I've written, it's not finished yet, but it's almost there. And I think the guys are going to be really happy. I think there's a lot of things that they just didn't think with or understand or even know what to look for in a relationship, or how to get their relationship operating optimally on the same page. And I think the tips and the exercises and the viewpoint that I put in here is really going to be an eye opener and a way to help a lot of guys get very clear as to what they want and how to find it.
And as a 10X lady yourself, what's the one thing that you desired the most from Grant?
I think I can speak for all the 10X ladies out there.
Yeah.
One thing that I want the most as a woman in this relationship is I wanted to I want to have love. I want respect. I want appreciation, and I want mutual, equally included in the partnership as an equal.
It's going to be a powerful book. I actually lost my marriage in 2013, a long time ago. But I've also been working hard to become a 10X man. So I'm looking forward to reading the book, and it's going to help a lot of people. It's going to create a lot of power couples.
That's the intent, you know. Part of my mission is to make relationships cool again. I feel they get a bad rap in society. You know, TVs, movies make it look like they're a bummer, they're a ball and chain, that they're a drag. And, you know, it's not that they're always this in love fairy tale thing and it doesn't take work. It does. But when you have it figured out and you have the couple's goals aligned, what you can do together is more than you can do on your own. And that's just the bottom line. Two is stronger than one, no matter what. I mean, if you're operating as truly 10X. Of course, if you have a deadbeat or someone that's like trying to seek your demise, that then they can drag you down. But I'm talking about two highly functioning members of the relationship, or going to exceed faster than the single person. It's just mathematics.
When you know the name of the book, let me know. I'd love to include it in the show notes, and we'll send it out to the network. I've got three rapid fire questions and then one last question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yep. So first rapid fire question is, in your view, how do you live a happier life?
You become a true friend to yourself first and foremost. You hold yourself accountable, you forgive yourself, and you constantly push yourself to your potential. And when you can be a true friend to yourself, you can be happy, and you can then make other people happy and help them in fulfilling their goals.
Wow, that's one of the best answers I've heard out of all the podcast interviews. The next one is, how do you live a more purposeful life, Elena?
You challenge yourself to help as many people as you can.
Help as many people as you can. And the last one is, how do you live a regret-free life?
You have the courage to keep your ethics in. You have the courage to stand up for who you believe and what you take a stand for, and then you also learn from your mistakes and move on and not look at the past, learn from it, but continue to put your vision in the future and focus on that person, not that person.
Okay, so focus.
I'm not who I was a day ago, much less 15 minutes ago. I've forgiven myself. I've moved on. I'm on my way to greatness. I can't be worried about fumbling a ball in game 3 when I got to win a Super Bowl.
That's awesome. All right, so focus on the person that you want to become rather than focusing on the past. My last question, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed the chat. My last question is, if today was your last day, Elena Cardone, and I erased everything that you've created, all your seminars, all your books, all your universities, all that, and I gave you a piece of paper and a pen, and I asked you to write down one thing that you could impart to inspire future generations to believe in themselves, to believe in their greatness, what's the one piece of advice you'd give on that piece of paper?
I would say, you are powerful. What is the definition of power? Power is the ability or capacity to influence the behavior of others. So take the responsibility and owning your power. Stop selling the world short of your greatness, and do your part to making a difference for the better in this world.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to acknowledge you. I wrote down a few things just before we head off. I want to acknowledge you for your inner desire to truly want to make others succeed. I see that in you, to make a lasting impact, and also to honor your own self-worth, to step into your fears and live a life that you desire. It's inspiring to watch, and I personally hope to become a better person because of you and Grant, and to share the knowledge and the resources that you both create. I just wanted to lastly just leave the audience by handing it back over to you for anything else that you'd like to say, or also where can they best find you? I know you've got your university. I know you've got your 10X Ladies group. I'll link the book, Build an Empire, in the show notes. But I just want to lastly just hand it over to you if you've got anything else that you'd like to impart to the tribe.
Well, I just want to thank you for having me on your show and opening me up to your audience. I appreciate that. And, it really is my mission to connect with other like-minded individuals who are willing to take that responsibility for doing their part and being a leader. And I know it's not always easy, but from my heart to yours, I appreciate the audacity and the courage that it takes to go for greatness every single day. And it is appreciated, and it's even appreciated from people you don't even know, because I appreciate you and I applaud you, and I'm happy to be amongst you. So thank you for having me here today. The links that you were talking about and how to follow me on Instagram, I'm Elena Cardone. If you're interested in my Build an Empire online university, it's elenacardone.com/university. If you want my free book, it's elenacardone.com/empire. And to all my 10X ladies out there, if you want to join my free 10X ladies Zoom call that I do every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you go to 10xladies.com/network. And that's where we have an opportunity as powerful women to figure out how to navigate these challenging times together, and to come out on the other side of this bigger, better, more unstoppable, and to be the leaders, not only with ourselves, but with our families and our communities, and bringing stability into the atmosphere, which is much needed right now.
What an awesome group to be a part of. You'd be crazy not to join it. Thanks, Elena. I really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. If there's any way we can serve or help you and Grant, let us know. But I really appreciate you. And guys, I'll link all of Elena's resources and books, and especially once the new book comes out, which I'm really passionate about, what I'll do is I'll buy some copies as a giveaway, and we can just run a competition to send it out to some fellas out there for a bit of luck on finding the next woman.
Thank you. Okay. Deal.
All right. Take care, Elena. Thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.